Hello YouTube, this is Shirley426, and today we have the review of the HG Earthree Gundam. However, this review is not going to be our typical review. This is going to be either a 2-part or even 3-part review depending on how part 1 goes on. So currently for part 1, I'm going to be focused on the Core Gundam, as you can see. Now for those who don't know what the heck they're looking at the moment, this is the new main character Gundam or Gunpla kit that's going to be used in the main series. Now currently on YouTube on Gundam Info, episode 1 and episode 2 of the new series, the new Gundam build divers, the new series basically has been up for on the weekends, I believe, or on Friday. So currently for some reason episode 1 and 2 is available right away, so if you want to watch that, go check it out as well. So while doing the review, I may mention some stuff regarding the mobile suit itself. I don't consider the mobile suit function to be considered as a spoiler, but yeah, just keep that in mind. Okay, so part 1, I'll be talking about the Core Gundam, as I mentioned, which is the small Gundam you see at the moment. And then on part 2, technically my first initial plan was going to be part 1 to be the Core Gundam, part 2 to be the Earthree Gundam, but once again, I also want to show you guys how these two combine. So yeah, depending on how part 1 goes, I might do a part 2 to be the good docking sequence, part 3 to be the Earthree Gundam. So keep that in mind. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to go with the components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is the Core Gundam itself. And as you can see there, you only get 2 hands, the 2 multi-purpose hands for left and right. And you can see, as you just saw in the backpack, there are 2 beam saber hilts. These are pretty long, but these are both used for the Core Gundam and the Earthree Gundam, so you don't get any alternative beam saber handles. And currently, you can see now on the instruction manual, I believe this is just called the Earth's armor, instead of like being called like some sort of Earth vehicle or Earth pack. But I'm just gonna call it the Earth pack because, you know, this is basically another. This is a controlled flying vehicle that's, you know, controlled by the main pilot, and this can be also used as a support unit, or later can take off every single part here, because everything on here you can see is used for the Earthree Gundam. You have the backpack, you have the shoulders, you have the fist, you have the legs, back skirt, shield, everything is on here basically. So yeah. And then other than that, what you get, so of course, is 4 beam saber effect parts. Now currently we get 2 long ones. These are the flat types that are used with the Gundam Age series, or I believe, and I believe the XE also uses the flat type beam saber effect parts, if I remember correctly. And we get the 2 shorter ones, so very nice. And then other than that, we get some more stuff. So first of all, we get the most basic beam rifle for the Core Gundam itself. Later, when it becomes the Earthree Gundam, you get another attachment on the front, so no need to worry if you don't like small guns. Here we have the shield. Once again, this is like technically half a shield, because once it becomes the Earthree Gundam, it becomes a more bigger shield. And we have this part which works as a handle for the Core Gundam itself. But I believe this also have another function, which you guys will see it later, I believe. And here, this part is technically, you could kind of consider this as a leftover part, but you can still use this for the, how should I say, for the Core Gundam itself. Yeah, for storing the shield. And then here we have some leftover polycaps, nothing too special regarding that. And then here we have a sticker sheet. As you can see, I use all the stickers. So for some obvious stickers, we have the eyes, we have the front camera, back camera. Here we have the kind of the front section for the Earth pack right over here, the green section. And then here, these 2 are mostly for the weapons. Alright, so let's get on to the review. So once again, let's start with the Core Gundam itself. Now I would like to mention that this came out, or in Korea this came out yesterday. So I finished building that at that night, and now I'm reviewing it. Okay, so let's get on to the review right away. So now, at first I had some doubts regarding the design, but the more I played with it and after building it, I really like it. I mean, the build is very unique, very different from what we usually build, obviously, but because of that, I think it's starting to grow on me. Now, the size may not be for everybody, because I know there's a lot of people who just likes to build master base just for the heck of the size, or those who can't stand like the HG size. And so for those who can't stand the HG size, I'm pretty sure you won't be able to stand the small size. So as you can see, here's a typical HG kit. You can see it's very shorter. It's much shorter than the ones you know. But I say for what it is, I think they did a very good job on the on the kit itself. So because everything you see is pretty much almost color separated. So for the head, obviously as I mentioned, the eyes are a sticker. The head camera, the front and back are stickers. So the head looks pretty basic, and you can see there's these two big holes on top of the head. That's actually meant for the Earthree Gundam. So you can go down that much, up that much, and then 360 twist should be possible. And I would like to mention the neck joint is a polycap. So for the arms, they're pretty basic, but they may look a little bit short, but that's just for the Core Gundam. So as you can see those two polycaps inside, and they are connected as a ball joint. So 360 twist on the arm is possible. Now I would like to mention that some parts may feel extremely tight. For me, I was actually a little bit sweating because when I was trying to attach the waist and the main body, there's a middle polycap, the ball polycap here, and it took me some force to get that in. So yeah. So 360 twist is possible, and since it's on a ball joint, you can move the shoulder forward and backward. Once again, a little bit stiff on mine. And also you can kind of extend the arm like this. Now this is mostly meant for the combining sequence or the Earthree Gundam itself. So yeah. But I would like to mention this works pretty smoothly. I mean, every time there's a mobile suit or gimmick like this, I'm always worried that it's going to be stuck or stiff. This one feels pretty good. And the arm itself can go 90 degrees, or depending on how you put the ball joint, it can go a little bit more. And then there's a 360 twist on the arm itself, a little bit stiff on mine. And then we have a nice double jointed bend. Hands are your typical ball jointed hands, but I would like to mention the ball joints that the hands are your typical ball jointed hands, but the inside there's no polycap. You use the plastic style, connecting sequence. So keep that in mind. This kit does have polycaps, but it doesn't use as much as you think. Okay, so now let's get the back. Now on the back, I do like the beam saber placement, and I do like the way how the beam sabers looks like. So the way how these connect is that, okay, let's hope I can pull one out. You know what? I'm just gonna take this part out. So the way how the beam sabers connect, first, number one, the main connecting part is on the peg, so you can move up and down. This is actually pretty important or essential for the docking sequence. And you can take out the beam saber hilt itself, and it reveals a flat hole. Now the connection between these two might be a little bit tight, so I don't know, maybe if it's a little bit too tight for you, maybe you can sand it down a little bit, or maybe chip off the edge of the of the peg. So yeah. So, but as far as I know, when it's the Core Gundam, the beam saber hilts face down. And here we have a thruster, and it moves a little bit, but that's just the way how the connection is. And then here we have, oops, sorry about that. Here we have a hole here. Now the main hole, this is also pretty much meant for the Earthree Gundam, but there's also this part which you can connect this part right over here, and then just pretty much plug in the shield or store. Oh, sorry about that. That's the wrong. So on the shield, there's another peg you can move up and down like that, and then all you need to do is just plug in the shield in any hole you want, and you can pretty much store the shield in. Now once again, once you plug it in, I didn't plug it in fully because if it does, it doesn't come out that easily. So yeah, even though I only plugged it a little bit, it's already pretty tight. So I just want to show you guys that aspect. Okay, now let's look at the main body. Now the main body, because of the structure, there's no ab crunch. I mean, yeah, at this point, it'd be amazing if it had, but yeah. So there's no ab crunch, but 360 twist, I wouldn't say it's possible because as you can see, the front skirt section is kind of colliding with the main body, so not going to be possible. And here we have the front skirt. Now this yellow section is the front skirt section, but despite how this looks, this also comes in as a single piece, but you can divide them because there's the middle section where it's a ball joint. So each section has a ball joint, but they're connected at the moment. But for now, for me, due to the transformation or docking sequence, I find putting the front skirts like this much more easier when doing so. And if they're connected together, they're less wobbly depending on how it is. Okay, and let's look at the back section. Here's another hole for the docking sequence. Now the legs, their main connection is a peg, but thanks to that, we have a nice side swivel going on here. And then the legs can go almost 90 degrees to the side. I think it's just there's the gap there isn't that big, so you can't go to the side that much. So, but still, I think that's good, a pretty good amount. Can go front that much, 90 degrees, back 90 degrees, and here we have a nice bend here. I believe there's technically one more bend section right over here, but this is mostly for the Earthree Gundam. So for the Core Gundam itself, I guess you can say it has like a 90-degree-ish bend. And then here's like a fair bit warning. Now mine got a little bit better while playing around, but here we have another moving section right over here. But this is mostly meant for the Earthree Gundam / core docking sequence. And then here we have the feet can also move like this, so it can have another 90-degree range movement. And then on here is connected to a ball joint, but this is not. These ball joints do not use any polycaps, so I would like to mention that when you first connect them, they can feel extremely stiff. Now, currently mine is barely moving at the moment, so if I kind of suggest you either oil this or kind of sand it only a little bit. Just sand it a little bit so it feels much more comfortable moving, because I'm kind of afraid that if I twist it too much, it's going to snap like what happened with my Master Grade Alex 2.0. This section, once again, is working a little bit better, but yeah. But once you have that, if you fix that aspect, this thing is pretty fun to pose with. Alright, so we saw the basic articulation. Now let's talk about the equipment. So first of all, we have the beam rifle. And as I mentioned, this kit does not come with any other hands other than the multi-purpose hands. So you can just plug it in and bada beam, bada boom. You get a simple looking beam rifle. And here's one of the stickers that is used on the beam rifle. And then now the shield connection, I'm not the biggest fan of how this thing holds the shield. So according to the manual, as you can see, there's this big ass peg here, which actually does serve another purpose other than being the handle. But in a nutshell, they just tell you to plug it in like that, and pretty much, oops, wrong hole. Plug it in like that. So you can hold it like that, or if you don't like it, or if you want to put it on the side, I guess you could just twist the arm, just plug it in, or the other way around. So yeah. So the shield, not that great, but beam rifle, definitely a unique looking beam rifle. And then let's take out another beam saber. There we go. And now the beam saber handle may be a little bit awkward to some people. So first of all, you plug it in. I'm just going to use the shorter one for now. And then here we have the handle. Now you may look like, now the handle is pretty squarish, but you can see there's a long section and a short section. Now you would think like the long section, like you hold it like this. In the normal sense, but it's facing the other way around, so you have to face it like this. So this may not make any sense to some people, but you'll see when you actually build and get the kit. But once again, it holds it pretty well. It may feel a little bit wobbly, but not too bad. It doesn't really fall off that easily. So yeah, and since you get 2 beam saber hilts and 2 beam saber effects, there's a lot of stuff you can pull off. Or if the short one is not really your thing, you can always replace it with the long one, like that. And yeah, I won't talk about how these were used in the series yet, since I'm pretty sure there's always those late people who don't watch the series, who hasn't watched it yet, which is totally fine, because sometimes I watch Build Fighters, the original series, very late. Okay, so it's been 13 minutes, so I think I'm just gonna end the part 1 here, and then on part 2, I'll talk about the Earth pack right over here, because once again I plan on detaching everything and showing you guys how the docking sequence works. So once again, thank you for watching the review. This was part 1, which was basically about the Core Gundam itself, and I find this Core Gundam to be a very fun build and pretty articulated for what it is and for its size. So yeah, so once again, wait for part 2 and I'll be right back.